of how fucked up you get cause you don't quit. Look up at the sky. I'm ready to fly high. You know what I mean? It's time for the green. You know what time it is? You know what time it is? 420. You know what time it is? You know what time it is? 420.
Hey, how's everybody? Alright, good. My name's Bo. I apologize for being late. East Brunswick, New Brunswick, West Brunswick. And they told me I had to wear something business casual, and I was like, well, what would Wolski do? And he outdid me over there in this jacket. There's kind of a substantial police presence on the ride here. Like, everywhere I went, there was just cop cars fucking everywhere. It was ridiculous. But I am a comedian, I suppose. I started out doing stand-up comedy about 3 years ago. About 2 years ago, I ended up at Occupy Philadelphia. I met a bunch of different activists. I slept on the concrete for 60 days. I did like a video project there where we just kind of did like a Hunter S. Thompson digital gonzo journalism thing where we just slept with these crazy people for 60 days. And at the end of the 60 days, I found out that I was one of them. And I met a bunch of people from Normal. And then I've just been causing trouble ever since. I mean, I've been in federal prison. I just wanted to stand in front of people and tell jokes about my dick. And now, on bail. I'm the only person on bail on this panel, right? So that's pretty much, that's me. So I'm happy to be here. I think that the college generation now is going to be the people that lead us into the future of marijuana legalization, and I'm just happy to be a part of it, so thanks for having me. Getting involved with the marijuana movement, we were actually just talking about it in the car, that marijuana is a great gateway activism for people. I'm concerned with a lot larger issues in this country beyond marijuana, but I feel like when you're dealing with people, marijuana is an easy, fun way to get people involved in trying to change, what's going on. I like to have a good time. I've been to a ton of activist events where I'm like bored out of my mind. So like as a comedian, strategically, we wanted to try to do stuff that made people get involved in a way that they felt like they were a part of something and having a good time. As far as inspiration, part of my inspiration sitting right in this room, at Fortune over here was, smoking weed at the Liberty Bell long before I thought about it. I don't even think I had any hair on my chest then, but so we decided to come up with and it was a joke at first. We decided to come up with the idea of this thing called Smoke Down Prohibition, where we would, is anyone, besides the people, there's people that spoke, there's speakers here, people that are arrested, I think, in this room at it. But, so is everyone in the room heard of Smoke Down Prohibition, or are you familiar? Just for those of you who don't, we said, hey, it'd be really funny if we got a bunch of people down to go smoke a joint at the Liberty Bell. My colleague Chris Goldstein smoked a joint for the 75th anniversary of the first federal pot arrest. He smoked it right outside of the slab of the First Amendment tombstone down there at Independence Plaza. So I was like, well, we got to take this to a larger level and try to get everyone to come down here and smoke weed. That's nice symbolically, but let's see what we can do to this park. So we went to the first one. It was like almost a year ago. It was December 18th, and we had a little ceremony. Ken, I think you spoke at the first one, didn't you?
First or second, yes.
Yeah. So we had a bunch of speakers, and I'm not talking like idiots, like we have intelligent people that have medical marijuana issues, people that, just up and down. We've had a gubernatorial candidate, John Hanger in Pennsylvania, speak there. So the first time we pulled it off, we had the ceremony at 420, we lit them up, great day. We did that 3 more times. On 420, I've been in front of crowds and really, got off entertaining them, but we had a DJ there, and there was over 500 people, and everyone lit up joints, and this cloud went into the sky, and it was just literally beautiful, it was overwhelming, emotionally, especially the people that organized this together. It's a great group of people, man, that really work hard, and they're from all walks of life, and that's what's great about the marijuana movement too. So at the 5th one, May 18th, the police were like just there, like hardcore. There was like, it was 60, 80 park rangers, 100 Philly cops. It was just insane. And I was hosting it, and I've been in a lot of tense situations with the police, and I was like, something's going down today. So, you know, I proverbially left, you know, everything I had on the field that day. And at 4:20 p.m., we lit up joints. I was approached from behind. They fucking walked right past Ed. They walked past New Jersey Weed Man, pushed him out of the way. You know, I got tackled by 3 park rangers, smashed into the ground and hogtied. And then I was carted off to federal prison, where I spent 5 days in solitary confinement with a libertarian activist named Adam Kokesh. So it was like really torturous being there as a libertarian. But, you know, and like the drug war always was just this like thing and word that like you threw around in my life until like this happened to me. So I spent 5 days in federal solitary confinement. I was charged with assaulting a federal officer. If you'd like to YouTube any PO arrested, if you see the assault, let me know if you see it tomorrow. But, and now I'm currently, you know, on bail. And like, let's remember, you know, from the start, I'm a comedian, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't think I was gonna be like thrust in this position. But now in Pennsylvania, you know, we have a movement growing. And it's really nice to be a part of. And not to mention, you know, just smoking marijuana symbolically, if you look at the way our civil liberties are being treated, you know, post 9/11, you know, it's horrendous, you know, and I wouldn't have any problem with it if they said, hey, guess what, this isn't a democracy anymore, just shut up and watch TV, you know, I'd be cool with that because at least they're being honest. But, like, you know, standing down there and fighting down there for marijuana, for the First Amendment, I mean, I'm currently, via court order, banned 100 feet from being near the Liberty Bell. I have to be 100 feet away from the park. I mean, you know, that in itself is absurd, that you can't go to a place like that. You know, the idea that there's free speech zones, you know what I mean? Like, that is just overwhelming. And you guys are young, you know, like, I'm 34, you know, so I remember what it was like before 9/11. Like, you guys were probably watching cartoons and shit, you know, and like, you know, it was freer, man. And, you know, all this post 9/11 stuff is really messed up civil liberties wise, and marijuana is something that we want to take care of on a federal level as well as a state level, and we should be able to raise our voices and do that. And when we raise our voices and do that, hey, don't they have you going in and out of prison right now or some shit? Yeah, I mean, like, this guy's a medical marijuana patient. They're throwing him in a joint half the month, and the other half of the month he's getting, you know, treatment. I mean, you know, I don't have any problem sacrificing a little bit of my freedoms to point out the absurdity of, you know, of this stuff. So, you know, what was the question? Thank you.
But it was, why have you chosen civil disobedience as one of your main methods of activism?
Because who doesn't like smoking marijuana outside?
Why have you chosen to use the media as this way?
Okay, so I think that first and foremost that the greatest thing about the internet is the fact that although there's such a system of control in place, the internet is the last bastion of freedom in this country. And we've personally taken social media and YouTube and that whole generation of shit and decided to use that as a tool against the state and against the machine by creating videos, by using social media as a tool to be able to get the people mobilized, because there's 6 corporations that own all the TV and radio in this whole entire country. They're not interested in giving you information, they're interested in giving you propaganda. We are able to get out and build a base from grassroots using the exact same tools, which I think is very interesting. So the feds watch the Panic Hour Facebook page, and you should all like it if you're on Facebook. So we were sick of them watching our page and just coming and coming to our whatever. So we decided a few weeks ago, when the government shut down, on the first day of the government shutdown, we decided to put out on our social media that the government shut down, so we're going to smoke down in the park. you know, and we just, we're hitting it in the morning, and Twitter and all that shit. And then we didn't show up, and few of us showed up, and we got down there, and there was 25 park rangers standing around with their hands in their pocket, and we just wanted to show them that, you know, that we know you're watching us, and that we're smarter than you. And it's not that smart, it's not hard to be smarter than the federal government, let's be honest. So, I mean, I think that we can all unite via social media and create your own media. What's been great about Smoke Down Prohibition, there was more angles of IRS than there was of the 9/11 towers. There was cameras everywhere. We are all armed with cameras. If you see the police doing something that's effed up, film them. It's your right. If you want to get information out via the internet, do what you want. We're thinking about doing this thing now where every Friday, smoke down wherever you are. We're personally probably going to go to different spots in Philadelphia that have some historical significance, maybe the Rocky statue or whatever, and go and smoke a joint and videotape it and put it on YouTube. You know, the resistance is always going to be on the internet. That's the only shot we have left, because we spoke about the police state and the militarization of the police. And it's funny, I had a nice Twitter interaction with the head of the SEPTA Transit Police, which is in Philadelphia. They're shutting down like the rail lines, the regional rail lines, and you wait 25 minutes for the subway. But there's cops dressed up like they're going to Baghdad, you know, in the subway. And that doesn't make me feel safe, it makes me feel uncomfortable, you know? And sure, I probably always have something, I am a criminal. But I'm only a criminal because of the law. And we have to band together as people and do that. Like, you have to get off your goddamn couch. Like, you know, sharing memes or liking something on Facebook is awesome. You know how many times, like, I used to get excited when I look at Smoke Down Prohibition's Facebook event page, and now 600 people are going to be coming to this. And then 80 of them show up. I mean, it's great to support things on the internet, it's great to share memes, all that shit. But what's really going to change things is getting out into the street and making the people that are elected to government enact the will of the people. 82% of the people in Pennsylvania want medical marijuana legalized. We can't even get the bill to a fucking committee. That isn't democracy, okay? And you know, the weapons, I just met some wonderful women that live in central Pennsylvania that have daughters that have seizures. Like, I need weed to play video games and to write jokes. Their daughters are having hundreds of seizures a day. Positioning the proper people into these movements. Like, if Fat Ass Christie, about 2 months ago, a father, and someone stop me if I'm wrong, probably can, he confronted Christie at coming out of a place, and it got on the news, and the next day he changed his stance on whatever they were talking about. I don't want to talk out of my ass on this. But, you know, if our Governor Corbett, who is just like the scum of scum, if we put these people in a position to get out and say, hey, these are mothers, these are veterans. A great friend of mine is a veteran that wouldn't leave his house 2 years ago. Now he's the co-chair of Philly Normal, because marijuana made him stop taking all those goddamn pills that he had and made him start thinking again, make him become a whole person again. People need this as a medicine. Not to mention, economically, it's ridiculous. I have friends in the middle of the state that support hemp. I don't know what hemp is. You can't smoke it, I know that. But hemp could do so many things for that. And then medical marijuana, and then, oh, well, Philadelphia has 23 schools closing. They're opening a $400 million prison, and then we got this fucking huge Comcast tower sitting in the middle of the city paying no taxes. I mean, everything about that is wrong across the board, and it's not going to change till the people do that. So use your social media, use the media. I do a radio show every Monday and Wednesday. It's called Cannabis Network Radio, to just plug that real quick. You know, we talk about the issues of the day. I do the Panic Hour, we do a podcast, we make YouTube videos, we try to make it fun. Like, you can do that too. And then look what you guys did here at Rutgers. I mean, like, you know, I'm like, oh, these kids from the school are hitting me up. I'll probably go and smoke a bowl in a fucking dorm room or something like that. This is a nice setup. you know, and you guys are thinking and acting. When I was in college, I wasn't doing this stuff, you know what I mean? And you guys are, and I personally appreciate that. So I'm gonna shut up and thank you. After I was arrested, 3 days later, I left for California for the first time I've ever been to California in my life. And you go to Venice Beach, and there's literally assholes in green doctor scrubs and, you know, green sunglasses dressed like that lady in the back, like soliciting you on the boardwalk to buy marijuana. And to go from being tackled and hogtied and put in prison, you know, that's why I think that we should, you know, a lot of people in the marijuana movement think that the state-by-state domino effect should eventually make the federal government make a move. But at the same time, the fact that marijuana is a Schedule I drug by the DEA is the true main problem. You know, meth is fucking Schedule II, and marijuana is Schedule I. Not to mention that 20 states right now are directly contradicting federal law. And that's very important to add because, you know, like Ken said, you guys are against the wall here in New Jersey. We're actually using what's going on with you guys to make sure that our bill doesn't look like that, you know? And that's not necessarily the way, you know, sorry, Paulie, that it should be, you know? So, you know, the federal government at some point, you know, especially Eric Holder came out less than a month ago and said they're not going to prosecute drug crimes for marijuana. Now, a few weeks ago in Maryland, we got a break where a federal judge actually threw out a heavy pot case as far as moving it, because he said, hey, we're looking at this memo. You know what I mean? They should give them that memo in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, where two friends of mine are going on trial December 19th for smoking a marijuana cigarette. They are looking at 6 months in prison or $1,000 fine for smoking a fucking joint. So we need to level that. I don't think that Doug touched on it earlier with the legalization of drugs across the board. It's not going to change morality. I think we were saying, did you ask how it would affect the country just in general? Do you think look, check out the 60s, right? If you have the 60s, and you have, I wasn't there. Doug, were you there? I know Wolf.
Sadly true, yeah.
Okay, so the 60s, you have everyone opening their mind via the use of psychedelics, smoking marijuana, doing their whole thing, and then people started thinking for themselves, and they said, no war, you know, we don't want your shit, all this. And then you have cocaine and disco, and then from then on, you just have the TV, which is the idiot box, and you have people sitting in front of it and letting them, you know, they're not elevating their consciousness. I think that if people use marijuana, use mushrooms, you know, and did stuff like that, got into their pineal gland a little bit, elevated their consciousness, that we wouldn't be able to be controlled. So I feel like that is a fear of the ruling elite, is that the people will free themselves, free their minds, think for themselves, and demand change. And I think that's the eternal struggle in this country at this point. It's the government versus the people.
You know what time it is?